Now that I have those honest looks out of the way, let's plunge back into One Piece with its most narratively cohesive saga. The Alabasta Saga contains 5 arcs of varying lengths and sees the Straw Hat crew enter the Grand Line and clash with one of the 7 warlords of the sea, with the fate of an influential kingdom hanging in the balance. First up is Reverse Mountain. Now this isn't really an arc, there's no actual conflict, it mostly serves as an exposition dump on the dangers of the Grand Line, and gives a decent explanation for why nobody has found the One Piece yet. It also sets up something for the future, but that's for another video. The main point of this arc is to give us information and introduce us to Miss Wednesday. Things start picking up at Whiskey Peak. Turns out Miss Wednesday and her partner Mr. Nine are assassins working for the mysterious Baroque Works. Not only that, but Miss Wednesday is actually Princess Vivi of Alabasta and was undercover investigating the organization and uncovered the identity of its leader. What follows is a Zoro showcase, and it's the first time we see him going all out. In Romance Dawn, he was half-starved. In Orangetown and Syrup Village, he had some handicaps. In Baratier, he was way out of his depth, and he was still recovering from that during Arlong Park. Whiskey Peak is another arc that isn't that special, but it keeps the ball rolling. The next arc struggles to do the same, however. Hypothetically, Little Garden should be my favorite island because it's the one with all the dinosaurs. And the giants are really cool, and it gives Usopp that thing he had been missing up to this point, a reason to exist in the series. But outside of those things, it starts to drag for one reason: the villains. This is going to be my most consistent complaint. With very few exceptions, One Piece villains range from frustratingly incompetent to generically bad. Mr. 3 and the majority of Baroque works have an excuse as they are minor villains, all building up to the serious threat, which is an improvement over the independent groups of morons we were saddled with throughout East Blue. The next arc is even worse and one of the absolute worst arcs in the entire series. Drum Island is a bland snow island where most of the cast just sits around doing nothing while Luffy kicks a single villain's butt from one end of the arc to the other. On top of that, Chopper, neat character concept, he has his moments, but he is far and away my least favorite Straw Hat, and his introduction doesn't do him any favors. The whole arc just feels like one big detour. There's nothing in this arc that builds up to the villain on the horizon. The best we get is an ominous mention of Blackbeard and Ace. Which, yeah, here's something that needs to be stated again. Your future plan should not interfere with the story at hand. Every single arc in One Piece that I'd classify as bad has that in common, along with the weak sauce villain, and oh man, Wapol is the weakest of the weak sauce villains. He's not only the lamest, most uninteresting, most incompetent villain in One Piece, he might be the most incompetent villain in Shonen Jump history. But the Alabasta arc itself makes up for it, mostly. I can't think of any real issues other than Oda pussing out over Pell, but man, Drum Island really was that bad. Alabasta is a non-stop freight train. We have Ace, we have Smoker, we have all the Straw Hats pairing off against a member of Baroque Works. We have Luffy losing for the first time in the series, twice. We got Nico Robin. We have foreshadowing that adds to the complexity of the story at hand instead of getting in its way. And we have a volatile situation that seems impossible and is unless you're willing to make sacrifices, which is why either Pell or Igaram should have stayed dead. In the end, Alabasta is a good example of the differences between being cohesive and being consistent. A good setup, a solid arc, a mediocre arc, a terrible arc, and one of the best arcs in the series, all fitting together into one nice package that wrestles with ideas of leadership and heritage. And it resonated so well that Shonen Jump decided to take the leash off Oda for a bit and let him run wild. I'm Mediocrity4. Next time we'll be shooting straight for the sky and encountering enemies that'll push the Straw Hats past their limits.